welcome to the December edition of HR Hot Topics. I'm your host, Jodi Schafer, and this month we're going to be talking about handbooks. Now, don't turn the camera off. Don't turn the video off. This is important stuff. There's no law that says you have to have a handbook. I know this. I know if you have just a handful of employees, you might think that it's more effort than it's worth. But I do want to remind you that regardless of size, you are subject to several state and federal employment laws that do have a notification requirement within them. So it does compel you to somehow convey this important information that you are being held to the employees that work for you. And a labor law poster in the break room is one way to do it. A handbook is often a much more effective way to do it. So from a practical standpoint, having an updated, legally compliant, easy to understand handbook that you are truly willing to follow is critical for proper management of your business. Now, when I think about handbooks, I'm looking at this through two different lenses. First, as I was talking about, the communication lens. Obviously, right, it's a great communication tool for your employees, but your employees aren't the only ones who might be looking at this handbook. You may also get a request from an attorney. I mean, heaven forbid you ever have a claim filed against you for a wrongful employment practice or a discriminatory employment practice, and the attorney's going to want to know, did you have workplace policies in place to prevent this kind of thing from happening? Did you follow your own policies? So having a written handbook is a great line of defense there. Governmental agencies may also be reaching out to you for different, reasons, but the handbook policies come into play. One clear example is the Unemployment Insurance Agency. If you've ever had somebody file unemployment and you get that fact-finding form and you're supposed to fill it out, right? And one of the questions almost inevitably is, did you have a policy around whatever the termination reason was? Attendance, safety, code of conduct, anti-harassment, etc., right? Well, if you had a handbook in place, then the answer is yes. You can share a copy of that policy and you're much more likely to have a successful result in that claim. And then, of course, you've got the other lens, which is the management tool. So it's a communication tool, but it's also a management tool. If you're a small shop, you've got one or two employees and you're the only person in charge, then it's much, much easier to consistently administer your workplace rules and your expectations. But as you start to grow and you put more people in those leadership roles, it becomes more difficult to ensure consistency across the board, that manager A is treating people in a similar manner to manager B and C and so forth. And so having a handbook that talks about the vision for your organization, that talks about some of your core values, that talks about code of conduct expectations, maybe that outlines disciplinary procedures, or how you view the evaluation process, how somebody might go about getting an assessment for their pay, the eligibility for an increase, something along those lines. All of that could be sections outlined in a handbook. So it's not just for staff level employees. It also can be a really important management tool for everyone else who's on your team. So for those reasons and many more, I think having a handbook is a worthwhile endeavor. Now, is it a lot of work? Yep, sure is, right? You can get templates. There are professional organizations out there that offer handbook templates. We have written some of those on behalf of professional organizations, the insurance agency and the Optometrists Association and the Dental Association, right? We've got handbook templates that we've written. So you can get those. You could have your attorney write one for you. My only caution, and sorry for those of you that are attorneys who are watching this, but it's important that the person, whoever's writing it, writes it in layman's terms, right? The employee who's reading this has to be able to understand what it means. Otherwise, it's really difficult to enforce. If you go to court and you say, well, we had a policy, and they read the policy and it's all in legalese and a lay person couldn't understand it, the court might decide that it's unenforceable for that reason. So whoever's providing the template, whoever's doing the writing on your behalf, just make sure that they know what they're doing, which is maybe why borrowing your friends isn't the best idea here, especially if your friend is doing business in another state. because there are differences in employment law and requirements from state to state to state. So you might inadvertently be subjecting yourself to rules that don't actually apply to you. And you're just kind of adding those layers on top, which nobody's got time for, and that's really costly. So you want to make sure that wherever you're getting that handbook template, that it's applicable to your state, the person who wrote it knows what they're doing, it's written in a way that your employees and you can understand, and most importantly, whether you're starting with a template or you're starting from scratch, it has to be customized to your business. It should use language that you typically use in your business. It should refer to your employees in a way that you would typically refer to them. Are they employees? Are they staff? Are they team members? Are they associates, right? It should reflect you. And some policies are optional, right? You're always going to have kind of the core things that every handbook should have, but then beyond that, it's very optional, very customizable. And so you want somebody kind of guiding you through pros and cons of including certain things and not others, or perhaps how you write a policy, and weighing that out is going to be important. So all of this to say, I know it's a heavy lift. I think it's worth it, but it's a heavy lift. And for that reason, many clients lean on a professional to help guide them through that. We certainly offer that service. I know attorneys offer that service. Associations can give you a jump start on all of that. One of the things that we have found to be most effective in this, though, is real-time writing of handbooks. And we do that through a seminar called Make and Take. So because in Michigan, we have this whole Earned Sick Time Act that, as of the recording of this video, has not had any amendments made to it yet, okay? And we've got a looming effective date in February. We know as employers, we're probably gonna have to make some policy changes to time off, probably some significant ones, okay? And not just time off. We're gonna have to look at, 8 to 10 other policies that earned sick time is gonna require changes to. And for that reason, HRM has decided to host an in-person handbook make and take seminar on January 9th. And the idea here is that you come in person with your laptop. You can bring a person from your office who might be more tech savvy or maybe has more knowledge in certain areas, so it doesn't have to be just one person. You can bring a person from your office or from your workplace to help you with this. It can be a team event. And you're going to start with our template, which has been legally reviewed. It's absolutely up to date in terms of compliance requirements for the state of Michigan. So you start with that, not a blank sheet of paper, which is time saving. And then you work through it section by section to customize it to meet your needs. The reason we love doing this in person with a room full of employers is that when you get to things that you could do 5 different ways, holiday pay, for example. Do you guys pay for holidays even if the person's not scheduled to work that day? If the holiday falls on a weekend and you don't typically work weekends, do you give them the Friday or the Monday, right? Lots of ways you could write a holiday policy. Well, you've got a room full of 40 other employers, and you can ask the group, how do you do it? How do you do it, right? And we have those guided conversations, and then members of my team are walking around helping you in the moment. You raise your hand, we come over, right? For much, much less than it would cost you to have us write your handbook as a one-off consulting project. So it's a really, really inexpensive way to either create a handbook if you don't have one, or update your handbook to be compliant, which you're gonna need. It's really important, especially for 2025, and to get it done in one day. I mean, come on, right? It's a no-brainer. So I tell you all that because seats are filling up soon. I'm continuing to see if the legislature is going to make any changes on earned sick time, but the longer they wait, the more vital the handbook changes become, because there's going to be a lot of them. And so I just wanted to share that with you to get you thinking. And I'll make sure to include a link for registration for that Make and Take seminar if it's of interest to you. It's going to be in Okemos, Michigan, so near the Lansing area on January 9th. So with that, I will leave you. I'll leave you for the year, unless the legislature gets busy. If they get busy and they start making changes to earn sick time or minimum wage or the tip credit, you will see me again. It'll probably be on my phone. It won't be great, but I'll get you the information as best I can. If I don't see you between now and January, I'm wishing you all a very, very happy holiday season, a safe holiday season. I hope a restful holiday season, and we'll see you back in January 2025, which kicks off HRM's 30th anniversary year celebration. So lots to be excited about. We'll see you in 2025.